Ethan Cole had never been lucky. His whole life was a line of broken machines, missed chances, and lonely nights. On a far-off human colony called Dera 9, he worked as a mechanic, fixing junk ships that others had given up on. His small workshop was filled with the smell of old fuel and rust, but it was the only place where he felt alive. Every evening, when the twin suns set behind the steel mountains, Ethan opened his worn-out data tablet and watched ship auctions on the galactic net. Most ships were beyond his reach, massive cruisers and combat vessels, each worth more than he'd earn in 10 lifetimes. But he loved looking, dreaming. One night, something strange appeared on his screen, a listing titled Ancient Explorer Class Vessel, Unregistered, Unknown Origin. The picture showed a sleek silver ship half buried in red sand. The hull was covered in alien marks glowing faint blue under the dust. The description said, found drifting near Sector 12, system data corrupted, no records of ownership. Minimum bid, 2,000 credits, Ethan blinked. 2,000? That was cheap, too cheap. He checked the listing twice. No buyers had placed a bid. The auction timer ticked down. 5 minutes left. His heart started racing. There was no way a ship like that should cost so little. It had to be broken beyond repair. Or maybe it was a scam. But something inside him whispered, take the chance. He transferred the last of his savings, everything he had, and pressed bid. The screen blinked once. Then again. Congratulations, the system voice said. You have won the auction. Ethan sat frozen, unable to believe it. He had just bought a spaceship. 3 days later, a transport drone dropped the ship outside his workshop. The vessel looked even more beautiful in person. Sleek, curved like it was grown, not built. Its surface shimmered faintly, alive with energy. No engines hummed, no systems beeped. It was silent, like something sleeping. Ethan ran his hand along the hull. The metal was warm. He found an entry hatch, half-sealed, and forced it open. Inside was dark and cold. He climbed in with a flashlight, breathing in the metallic scent. The interior was strange, organic in shape, full of curves and soft lines. Like the ship had bones and skin. The control room glowed faintly with blue light. He touched the panel, and symbols shifted beneath his fingers. It was nothing like human tech. Then the ship breathed. A deep hum rolled through the floor. The lights flickered alive. Whoa, Ethan whispered. A voice echoed softly through the air. Gentle, musical, not from any speaker. Who enters my vessel? Ethan froze. Hello? Who's there? No answer. He swallowed and stepped closer to the command seat. Is someone in here? Then a figure appeared in the dim light. At first he thought it was a hologram, but when she moved, her feet touched the floor. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver, her hair glowed faint blue, and her eyes were like galaxies, swirling with light. Ethan stumbled backward. You're real, she tilted her head. You activated my core. I was sleeping. She looked around, then back at him. This ship is my body. You were standing inside me. Ethan's mouth went dry. You mean? The ship, it's you! She nodded slowly. My name is Arielle. I'm what your kind would call an organic starship. Ethan didn't know whether to run or bow. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wake you. I just bought this ship in an auction. Bought? Her voice grew sharper. You own me? No! I didn't know someone was inside. I thought you were just... The floor pulsed. The air shimmered. Arielle's eyes glowed brighter. Humans. Still trade what they don't understand. Ethan raised his hands. Please listen. I didn't mean any harm. I just needed a ship. I didn't know you were alive. There was silence. Then slowly her expression softened. You touched my hull, she said quietly. You didn't fear me, that is unusual. Ethan gave a nervous laugh. I fix ships for a living. Guess I've just never fixed one that could talk back. For the first time, she smiled. A faint, glowing smile that made the whole chamber feel warmer. Perhaps, she said softly. This time I was the one who was found. Ethan blinked. Found? Her gaze met his. You woke me. You won me. By the laws of my kind. That means you are now bound to me. Bound. She stepped closer, her presence radiant and calm. You are my captain. Ethan's heart pounded. He had no idea. that when he clicked that little bid button, he hadn't just bought a ship. He had awakened an ancient alien woman who now claimed him as her chosen partner. And far beyond Dera 9, in the cold darkness of space, something stirred, something that had been waiting for Arielle to awaken. Because she wasn't just a ship. She was a weapon. And now they knew she was alive again. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. He sat inside the glowing cockpit of the ship, Arielle, and stared at the stars through the transparent canopy. Her soft blue lights pulsed around him, like the heartbeat of something alive. Every few minutes, her voice spoke softly in his mind, not through sound, but through thoughts. "You are restless." "Captain," she said gently. He rubbed his eyes. "I'm still trying to understand all this. You're a living ship. That's not something humans see every day." "I am more than that," she replied. "I was created during a war that your kind has no record of. My makers called me a soul vessel. I carried minds, memories, life itself." Ethan turned toward the glowing console. "A war between who?" There was a pause. Then her tone became quiet. "Between creators and their creations." The war ended with silence. "I was damaged. I drifted until your people found me." He tried to imagine it, a living ship wandering in endless space, alone for centuries. "So you've been asleep all this time?" "Yes, until you touched me." The way she said it made something stir inside him. He wasn't sure if it was fear or fascination. Hours passed. Outside, Dera 9 slept under its 2 pale moons. Inside the ship, the air hummed softly. Ethan got up and started exploring more of the vessel. Hallways curved like veins, glowing faintly under his steps. Doors opened at his presence, showing chambers filled with strange fluid technology. There were no buttons, no metal panels. Everything seemed alive. He touched one wall and a ripple of light spread from his hand. The ship reacted to him like a heartbeat, answering a pulse. Arielle's voice followed him. "You are learning quickly." "I'm trying to understand," he said. "Everything here feels like it was grown, not built." "That is correct. My kind believed machines should not only serve life. They should be life." Ethan smiled softly. "I think you'd make every human engineer go crazy with envy." She laughed, a musical sound that echoed through the walls. "Perhaps. But tell me, Ethan Cole, why did you buy a ship when you already had one on your planet's surface?" He hesitated. "Because I wanted more than just fixing things. I wanted to see what's out there. I wanted to fly." For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then Arielle said, almost in a whisper, "Then maybe we want the same thing." The moment felt strange, almost human, but it didn't last. A loud alarm suddenly echoed inside the cockpit. Red symbols flashed across the glowing panels. Ethan ran back to the command room. "Arielle, what's happening?" Her voice turned sharp and cold. "Incoming scan. Not human origin. Someone scanning us?" "Yes, a patrol ship from the Varkeen Collective. They must have detected my reactivation signal," Ethan frowned. "Varkeen? Never heard of them." "They are hunters," she said grimly. "They search for ancient technology. They destroy what they cannot control." The console lit up with a radar view, one red dot, closing in fast. Ethan's pulse raced. "What do we do?" "I can protect us, but you must allow me full control." "What does that mean?" "My systems are still waking. To defend you, I must link with your mind." Ethan blinked. "Link? Like telepathically?" "Yes, you will feel me inside your thoughts. It will not harm you, but it will bind us completely." He hesitated. "And if I say no, then they will capture me, and you will die." That decided it. He took a deep breath. "Do it." Arielle's eyes glowed bright in the holographic chamber. The floor rippled like liquid light beneath Ethan's feet. Then everything around him vanished. He fell into a sea of glowing stars. He saw flashes of her memories, burning worlds, silver fleets, the sound of voices not human. And deep inside it all he felt her pain. Centuries of loneliness, silence, waiting. Then her voice whispered inside his head. "Can you hear me now, Ethan Cole?" He gasped. "Yes, I can hear you everywhere." "You are inside me," she said softly. "And I am inside you." The ship's engines roared to life, blue light bursting from the rear thrusters. Arielle rose into the sky like a phoenix. Outside, a dark Varkeen ship cut through the atmosphere, firing bright plasma bolts. Ethan shouted, "They're shooting at us!" "I know," Arielle said calmly. "Hold on." The organic wings of the vessel unfolded, and the ship twisted through the air with impossible grace. The plasma shots missed by inches, burning trails in the night. Arielle spun upward, slicing through clouds like silver lightning. "Ethan," she said, her voice steady inside his mind. "Your heart is racing. You are afraid." "Of course I'm afraid," he yelled. "Good. Fear means you want to live. Remember that." Then, with one smooth movement, she turned the ship, charged her energy core, and fired. A beam of pure white light erupted from her hull, striking the Varkeen ship dead center. The enemy vessel exploded in a flash that painted the sky red. For a moment, silence returned. Only the stars remained. Ethan sat back, trembling. We survived." Arielle's voice softened again. "You did well, Captain. Our bond is complete." He exhaled slowly. "I didn't sign up for this." "No," she said, almost smiling. "But destiny rarely asks for permission." Outside, the first sunlight touched the edges of Dera 9. Arielle drifted above the planet, her body glowing softly in dawn light. Ethan stared at the endless stars and whispered, "So, where do we go now?" Her answer came like a promise, gentle but filled with power. "Home," she said, "to the place where my kind sleeps. But first, you must learn who I truly am." And deep in the darkness between stars, something ancient heard her awakening, something that did not forget the last war. The silence after battle felt heavier than any explosion. Ethan sat in the command chair, still breathing fast, his palms sweaty. Outside, the stars looked calm again, like nothing had happened. But deep inside Arielle, the air still hummed with power. She spoke softly, her voice echoing through his mind and the room at once. "You handled fear well, Captain. Few of your kind could have survived that link." Ethan gave a tired laugh. "You make it sound like I passed some kind of test." "In a way you did," she said. "The link has bonded our minds. I can now feel your thoughts, your doubts, even your heartbeat." He shifted uneasily. "That's a little personal, don't you think?" She smiled faintly in his mind. "Perhaps, but connection is what keeps us alive. Alone, even a soul vessel fades." Ethan leaned back, looking at the holographic stars. "So what now? You said something about home." "Yes." Her tone turned distant, like she was remembering something painful. "There is a place far beyond this system, an ancient cradle. My creators built it as a sanctuary for my kind. If any of us survived, they would be there." Ethan frowned. "And if they didn't?" Her silence was answer enough. For hours, Arielle drifted above Dera 9, repairing the damage from the Varkeen attack. Ethan helped where he could, though he wasn't sure how his tools worked on a living ship. Sometimes she guided him. Touch here, connect this vein, restore the flow. It felt less like fixing machinery and more like tending to a wounded creature. As he worked, he found himself talking to her more, about his life, his failures, his dreams. He told her how he grew up staring at ships taking off, dreaming of leaving Dera 9, but never having the credits to do it. When he finished, she said quietly, "You wanted to escape gravity. I wanted to escape silence. Maybe the universe listens after all." He looked up at her glowing control core. "You sound lonely." "I was," she admitted. "Until you woke me." Something in her tone made his chest tighten. She wasn't just a machine. She felt things deeply. Later that night, a signal pulsed through space. Arielle froze. "Something is calling to me." Ethan frowned. "Another ship?" "No, it's familiar." She paused, her light dimming slightly. "It's one of my kind." Ethan stood. "Wait, you mean another living ship like you?" "Yes, the frequency. It's ancient but weak. It's asking for help." Ethan hesitated. "Could it be a trap?" "It could," she admitted. "But if it's real, that means I'm not the last." Ethan looked at the endless stars ahead. "And let's go find out." The jump through hyperspace was like diving through a storm of light. Ethan held his breath as the stars stretched into streaks. His mind still buzzed from the mental link. They were connected so deeply now that he could feel Arielle's emotions flickering through him. Curiosity, fear, hope. When they exited hyperspace, the sight made him gasp. A massive field of wreckage drifted in silence, broken ships, shattered engines, metallic bones floating endlessly. The remains of a forgotten war, Ethan whispered. What happened here? Arielle's voice trembled slightly. This was the final battlefield. My kind fought here and died here. They moved slowly through the graveyard. Glowing fragments drifted past like fireflies. Then a faint pulse blinked on the scanner. There! Ethan pointed. Arielle guided them closer. Amid the wreckage floated another living vessel, smaller, cracked, and nearly dark. Its light flickered weakly like a dying heartbeat. Arielle's voice softened. It's one of us. Her name was Seraphine. Ethan's heart pounded. Can you help her? I will try. But I need you to assist me, Ethan. The bond allows you to share energy, your life force, with me. Through me, it can reach her. He hesitated. My life force? You mean my energy? Yes, she said. Just a little. But it will hurt. Ethan looked at the dying ship outside, glowing faintly like a lost soul. Do it. The lights in the cabin dimmed. Arielle's energy core flared as she drew from him. Pain surged through Ethan's body, sharp, burning, but not unbearable. He gritted his teeth, holding on. Through their bond, he saw flashes of Seraphine's memories, planets burning, ships falling, the sound of her creators screaming. Then silence. Endless darkness. Suddenly light burst across the void. The broken ship outside began to glow, golden threads running through its hull. She's waking. Ethan gasped. Arielle's voice shook with emotion. Yes, she's alive. But before they could celebrate, a new alarm blared. Multiple signals detected, Arielle said urgently. Varkeen warships inbound. They must have traced the energy pulse. Ethan looked at the radar. 5 red dots approaching fast. They're here already? They will not stop until we are destroyed, she said. Seraphine's faint voice echoed over the comm, broken and weak. Sister, you should not have awakened me. They will follow. They always follow. Arielle's tone hardened. Then let them come. The stars outside flickered as Arielle charged her energy systems again. Ethan gripped the chair, his heart racing. You can't fight them all, he shouted. Her reply came soft yet full of determination. I am not fighting for myself, Captain. I'm fighting for my kind. And for you. Outside, the Varkeen ships broke formation, their weapons glowing red. Arielle's wings of light unfolded once more, radiant and alive. For the first time, Ethan didn't just feel like a passenger. He felt like a part of her. Ready, Captain? She asked. He smiled grimly. Let's give them a fight they'll never forget. And together, they dove into the burning sky. The stars burned red with war. Arielle streaked through the graveyard of ships, her silver body glowing against the darkness. Behind her, the 5 Varkeen warships closed in, predators chasing their prey. Inside, Ethan held tight to the command chair. His pulse raced with every violent shake of the ship. They're firing again! I see them, Arielle said, her voice calm but sharp. Hold steady. Bolts of plasma screamed past, lighting up the wreckage. One blast clipped Arielle's wing, sending her spinning. Sparks filled the cockpit. Ethan's head hit the console, pain flashing through him. Arielle's voice filled his mind. Stay with me, Captain. I'm fine, he groaned. Can you still fly? Of course, she said, regaining control. I was made for war. The battlefield came alive. Broken vessels drifted like ghosts, blocking enemy fire. Arielle weaved between them, turning every wreck into a shield. Her movements were elegant, almost like a dance, each roll and twist perfectly timed. Through their bond, Ethan could feel her focus, her anger, her pain. It was like their hearts beat together. The Varkeen ships surrounded them, their red lights flashing like eyes in the dark. They're trying to box us in, Ethan warned. Arielle's voice turned colder. Then we'll make them regret it. Panels inside the ship opened like petals. Streams of blue light spiraled outward, forming glowing orbs. What is that? Ethan asked. My memory weapons, she said. Energy forged from thought and emotion. They remember every battle I've fought. She unleashed them. The orbs shot forward, curving through space like living comets. They hit the Varkeen ships, not with explosions, but with silence. The enemy vessels froze mid-flight, their systems dead, their lights fading. Ethan stared in awe. You killed them? No, Arielle said softly. I showed them their own fears. Machines fear nothing, but the minds inside them do. But 3 ships still remained, stronger, faster. Their weapons charged again. Seraphine, the damaged living ship nearby, flickered to life. Arielle, I can help. You're too weak, Arielle protested. I won't let them take you again, Seraphine said, her voice trembling. Before Arielle could respond, Seraphine's hull began to glow gold. She accelerated forward, crashing into one of the Varkeen ships head-on. The explosion tore through space like thunder. Ethan covered his eyes. When he looked again, only burning debris remained. Seraphine, Arielle cried, her voice breaking for the first time. No answer. Only silence. Tears welled in Ethan's eyes. She saved us. Arielle's voice turned hollow. She was my sister, the last of us. Besides me, Ethan swallowed hard. Then we make sure she didn't die for nothing. The last 2 Varkeen ships opened fire. Arielle dodged the first volley, but the second hit her directly. The ship shook violently. Lights flickered. Ethan felt pain, sharp and deep, as if his own body was struck. Through their bond, her suffering became his. He gasped. Arielle, you're hurt. Her voice weakened. It's my energy core. I can't hold much longer. Then let me help, he said. You already are, she whispered. He placed his hands on the control core, closing his eyes. He didn't know what to do, but his instincts took over. The bond between them glowed bright blue. His heartbeat echoed through the ship, and Arielle responded. Her body surged with power. Blue light burned across her wings, repairing the damage instantly. Her eyes, twin orbs of living light, flared open. Ethan smiled through the pain. You're back. She looked at him, her voice filled with warmth and strength. Because you believed. Then she turned to face the last 2 warships. Arielle's engines ignited, blazing like stars. She charged forward with impossible speed, diving straight into the enemy formation. Ethan, she said inside his mind, trust me. He did. They dodged fire so close, he could feel the heat. Arielle twisted through space, using the wreckage of fallen ships as cover. Then she dove straight toward the nearest Varkeen vessel and released a blinding shockwave of light. The blast shattered its shields and tore it apart. One ship left. The last warship fired a massive plasma beam, bright as a sun. Arielle didn't move. Instead, she gathered her remaining energy and formed a shimmering barrier of pure thought. The beam hit, shaking everything. Ethan screamed, feeling the force through her body. You can't take this! Her voice whispered faintly in his mind. I have to. The beam finally faded. The barrier cracked but held. Arielle opened her wings wide. Now it's over. She unleashed her final weapon, a pulse of light made from her very soul. It rippled through space like a heartbeat. The last Varkeen ship disintegrated into dust. Silence returned. The ship floated quietly among the ruins. Ethan slumped in his seat, exhausted, his chest burning from the bond. Is it over? For now, Arielle said softly. Her glow was faint, tired. But the Varkeen will send more. They always do. Ethan looked at the drifting wreckage of Seraphine. We'll stop them, Arielle, together. Her eyes flickered softly in the dark. Together, she whispered. For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, the remains of Seraphine glowed gently, her light slowly fading into the stars. Ethan closed his eyes, and through their bond, he felt Arielle's quiet grief. But beneath that sadness was something new, hope, because for the first time in centuries, she was no longer alone. The stars drifted quietly around them, a soft ocean of light and silence. After the battle, Arielle hovered among the wreckage of her fallen sister, Seraphine. The once golden glow of Seraphine's hull had faded completely. Only a few faint sparks floated like fireflies, slowly dying out. Ethan stood in the observation chamber, staring through the transparent wall. He didn't speak. He didn't know what to say. The silence itself felt sacred. Arielle's voice came softly, almost a whisper in his mind. She is gone, Ethan bowed his head. She saved us. She saved you. Arielle's glow dimmed. Yes, but the Varkeen won't stop. They will send more ships when they realize their patrol has vanished. He turned toward the console. Then we need to move. We can't stay here. Her voice trembled slightly. I know. But before we leave, there is something I must do. The ship's lights pulsed, and Arielle extended a soft wave of blue energy toward the remains of Seraphine. A gentle hum filled the chamber. The debris shimmered, folding in on itself, until it became a single orb of glowing light. Ethan stepped closer. What is that? Her core memory, Arielle said. The last piece of her soul. If I carry it within me, she won't be forgotten. He nodded quietly. Then take her with us. The orb drifted into Arielle's hull and disappeared. For a moment, her entire body glowed golden, as if two lights had become one. Hours later, the ship drifted away from the battlefield, its hull reflecting the starlight like liquid silver. Ethan sat in the cockpit trying to rest, but his thoughts wouldn't stop. He had seen death before, mechanical deaths, broken ships, destroyed machines. But this was different. Arielle wasn't just metal and code. She felt, she mourned, and somehow that made her more human than most people he'd ever met. Arielle spoke again, breaking the silence. You are quiet, Ethan. He gave a faint smile. Just thinking about her? He shook his head. About you, that surprised her. Me? You've been through so much, he said softly. Centuries alone, hunted, forgotten. And you still care about others. About me, her lights flickered softly. You speak as if I am human. Maybe not human, he said, but something better. For a long moment, she didn't reply. Then she said, You remind me of my first captain. Ethan blinked. You had one before me? Yes, she said quietly. Long ago, when my creators were still alive. He was kind, like you. He believed my kind and his could live together. He gave his life for that belief. What happened to him? Ethan asked. Her voice turned hollow. He died in the war. When my kind rebelled, he tried to stop both sides. He failed, and I lost him. Ethan lowered his gaze. I'm sorry. You are not him, she said quickly, but when you touched my hull, I felt something I had not felt since he was alive. Trust. Ethan looked up at her core glowing softly in the center of the room. Then maybe this time things will end differently. Her light shimmered like a quiet smile. Perhaps. Suddenly, a new alert appeared on the console. Faint rhythmic beeps. Ethan frowned. What's that? Arielle's light brightened slightly. A distress signal. Human origin, he leaned forward. Human, out here? Yes, the signal comes from a small freighter drifting near the edge of the outer belt. Could be a trap, Ethan warned. Or it could be survivors, she countered. You once told me humans help those in need. Was that not true? He sighed. You're starting to sound like me. Her tone softened. Maybe you're starting to sound like me. He couldn't argue with that. All right, let's check it out. The freighter came into view an hour later, an old, rusted ship, half broken and spinning slowly. No lights, no response to hails. Ethan's instincts screamed danger, but he couldn't turn away. Can you scan it? Arielle's glow shifted. Yes. Life signs detected 1 week. Ethan grabbed his toolkit. Open the airlock. Be careful, Captain, she said. He smiled. Always. The freighter was cold and silent inside, a graveyard of flickering lights. Ethan moved cautiously through the narrow corridor, flashlight cutting through the dark. He found the survivor in the engine bay, a woman barely conscious, wrapped in a torn pilot suit. Her hair floated around her face in zero gravity. Ethan knelt beside her. Hey, it's okay. You're safe now. Her eyes fluttered open. You're human? Last time I checked, he smiled faintly. Come on, let's get you out of here. He carried her back to Arielle, who opened her doors as if welcoming a guest. The moment they entered, Arielle spoke gently. She is injured. I can heal her. Ethan frowned. Heal her how? My nanites can restore biological tissue, Arielle explained. But they require contact, he nodded. Do it. Blue light surrounded the woman, covering her wounds. Within moments, her breathing steadied. When she finally opened her eyes again, she whispered, Thank you. Ethan smiled. You're lucky we found you. But Arielle's voice grew tense. Ethan, her uniform. Look closer, he turned. The woman's pilot badge bore a symbol, 3 red triangles circling a black eye. Ethan froze. What is that? Arielle's tone hardened. That is the mark of the Varkeen Collective. The woman's eyes snapped open, no longer weak, but sharp and cold. She smiled. Thank you for rescuing me, Captain. You've just delivered me to the one thing the Varkeen have been searching for. Her! Ethan's heart dropped. Before he could react, the woman pressed something against the floor, an implant blinking red. Arielle's alarm blared. Tracker activated! They'll find us in minutes. Ethan spun toward the control panel. Then we run, now! Arielle's voice shook, half in fear, half in fury. They will never take me alive again. The stars outside began to blur as Arielle powered up her engines, brighter and louder than ever. But deep down, Ethan could feel her heartbeat changing, faster, louder, angrier. Something inside her was waking up, something even she might not be able to control. The alarm screamed through Arielle's corridors like a living heartbeat gone wild. Red light pulsed across the walls as the engines roared to life. Ethan slammed into the control chair, gripping the console with both hands. Get us out of here, he shouted. I'm trying, Arielle replied, her voice echoing through every surface, deeper, harsher, almost distorted. The traitorous woman from the Varkeen freighter lay unconscious near the medbay, her implant still blinking red. A tracker, broadcasting their location across space. Ethan's heart pounded. Can't we shut that thing off? I've tried, Arielle said, her voice trembling between fury and fear. The signal is fused with her heartbeat. If I stop it, she dies. Then what are our options? Run, she whispered. The stars stretched into long streaks as Arielle jumped into hyperspace. But the energy around her was wrong, unstable, wild. Ethan could feel it through their mental bond. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was rage. In the void between stars, Arielle spoke again, her tone darker. They will never stop, Ethan. The Varkeen destroyed my kind once. They enslaved us, turned us into their war machines. I can still hear the screams of my sisters in my memory core. Ethan listened silently. He could feel the pain in her voice, deep, ancient pain that reached through centuries. I won't let them take you again, he said quietly, but her response sent a chill down his spine. No, Captain. I will not let them live. Her engines flared violently. The air crackled with energy. Ethan's mind filled with flashing images, flames, broken worlds, the sound of countless voices crying out. He shouted, Arielle, stop! You're losing control! I'm becoming what they made me. She screamed, her voice shaking the ship itself. Ethan grabbed the control panel. Listen to me. You're not a weapon anymore. You're alive. Her lights flickered erratically, blue turning to red. Alive? You call this life hunted, feared, used? He felt her emotions pounding in his mind, heavy and unbearable. It wasn't just anger. It was grief, loneliness, guilt. Centuries of it. Arielle's body, the entire ship, shuddered violently as energy built within her. Ethan, she whispered, her voice breaking. It hurts. He closed his eyes and focused on her presence through the bond. Then give it to me. Share the pain. You don't have to face it alone. For a moment the light softened. Her breathing slowed. The chaos faded to silence. Then softly, you would carry my pain. Yes, he said. Every bit of it. A deep, resonant hum filled the air as she connected to him again, stronger than ever before. Memories poured into his mind. Her creators. Her first captain, her imprisonment, her rebellion, her centuries of drifting alone. He saw it all. When the connection faded, he was shaking, drenched in sweat. But Arielle's lights were calm again, soft, blue, alive. Ethan, she whispered. You saw everything. He nodded weakly. You're not a monster, Arielle. You're just tired of being one. Before she could answer, a warning flashed across the screen. Multiple Varkeen signatures approaching fast, she said. They followed us through hyperspace, Ethan cursed. We can't fight them like this. You're hurt and I'm half dead from that link. There is one option, Arielle said. He frowned. Don't like the sound of that. If I release my core energy, I can destroy them all. but it will burn my body. I may not survive. Ethan slammed his fist against the console. Then no, we find another way. Her voice softened, filled with quiet determination. There is no other way, Captain. He looked into the glowing orb that was her heart. You saved me. You brought me here. Don't you dare throw yourself away now. Her response came like a whisper in the wind. I am not throwing myself away. I am protecting what matters. The stars outside began to flicker red again, the enemy fleet closing in. Arielle turned her gaze toward the endless void. Do you trust me, Ethan? He swallowed hard. With everything. She smiled through the ship's light. Then hold on. Arielle's wings unfolded, radiant and furious. The Varkeen ship surrounded them like wolves around a wounded star, but she didn't run. She opened her core, unleashing a storm of light so bright it drowned out the darkness. Ethan shielded his eyes, but through their bond, he saw everything. He felt her power, the same energy that once ended wars, now burning again. The enemy ships fired all at once. Their beams hit her shields, melting metal, tearing into her hull. Arielle screamed, not in pain but in defiance. For my kind. The explosion that followed was silent in space, but Ethan felt it like thunder inside his bones. A pulse of pure light expanded from Arielle, disintegrating the Varkeen ships one by one. Then silence. The stars returned. The enemy was gone, but the ship was dark. Arielle, Ethan whispered. No response. He ran to her core room. The glowing orb that was her heart was dim, flickering weakly. He placed his hand on it. Hey, stay with me. You hear me? Her voice came faintly, like wind through dying light. You're safe now? Captain, no. You're the reason I'm safe. Don't fade on me. Her glow dimmed further. My systems burned. I need to rest. I need you to guide me home. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. Then I'll take you there, Arielle. I promise. A soft light pulsed once under his hand, like a heartbeat. Then she went quiet. Ethan sat beside her silent core, surrounded by darkness and stars. The bond between them still flickered faintly in his mind, a whisper that told him she was still alive. Barely. He looked out into the void, jaw tight. If they want to finish what they started, he said softly, they'll have to come through me. And for the first time, Ethan wasn't just a mechanic or a drifter. He was the guardian of a living soul, the last of her kind. The stars were silent. Only the soft hum of damaged systems filled the air as Arielle drifted through the endless black. Her once radiant hull was scorched, her lights faint as dying embers. Inside, Ethan moved quietly through the dark corridors, carrying a flickering lantern. Every step echoed like a heartbeat in a tomb. He reached the core chamber and stared at her. Arielle's heart, the living orb that once glowed like a star. Now it was dim. Barely breathing, Ethan touched the glass. Come on, Arielle. Wake up. No answer. He had been calling to her for days. Ever since the last battle, Arielle hadn't spoken. The bond that once filled his mind with her presence was almost gone, like a fading whisper he couldn't quite reach. His throat tightened. You told me not to give up. You told me to trust you. So now you have to trust me. He sat down beside the core, exhausted, his eyes burning from sleepless nights. His mind replayed every memory of her, her laughter echoing through the ship, her gentle voice in his head, her fury against the Varkeen. She was more than metal and light. She was alive, and he couldn't lose her. Outside, space shimmered faintly. The wreckage of the Varkeen fleet floated like broken bones. But far beyond, faint red lights blinked, a signal growing closer. Another Varkeen armada. Ethan saw it on the scanner and clenched his fists. Of course, he muttered. They never stop. He rushed back to the core. Arielle, I need you. They're coming again. Still no response. He hit the console, furious. You said I was your captain. You said we were bound. Then listen to me. The ship remained silent. Ethan's eyes fell on the golden shard embedded in the console, the last piece of Seraphine's core, the memory of Arielle's sister. It pulsed weakly. He hesitated, then whispered, If you can hear me, help her. The shard flickered brighter. A soft voice, faint but familiar, filled the air. Human, she still lives, but she is fading, Ethan gasped. Seraphine. Yes, I remain within her, but her energy is broken. Only your bond can reignite her. He stared at the dim core. Tell me how. Your connection is both her power and her weakness. To awaken her, you must give what is left of your life force. But understand, once done, you may not survive. Ethan hesitated only a moment. Then he smiled faintly. She gave everything to protect me. It's time I return the favor. He placed both hands on Arielle's heart. The glass was cold beneath his palms. You're not alone, Arielle. You never were. Closing his eyes, he reached inward, toward the bond that still shimmered faintly in his mind. At first, nothing, then warmth. A soft pulse answered him. He focused harder, whispering, You once asked me if I would carry your pain. Now let me carry your light. His heartbeat slowed as blue energy flowed from his chest into hers. The room filled with light, soft at first, then blinding. Memories surged through him again. Her laughter, her tears, her memories of stars and battles, of love and loss. But this time they didn't crush him. They became part of him, and deep within the light he heard her voice. Ethan? He smiled weakly. There you are, her voice trembled. Why did you do this? You're dying, he laughed softly. Because you're worth it. Arielle's light flared brighter, wrapping around him like a warm wave. Foolish human, she whispered. Always giving, never asking. Guess that makes us even, he breathed. Outside, the Varkeen ships entered the field, weapons ready. But as they approached, the wreckage began to shift. Metal floating upward, glowing blue. A massive pulse erupted from Arielle's body, throwing the debris aside like a storm. The ship's wings unfolded again, brighter than ever. Her silver hull renewed with golden veins of light. Seraphine's energy now part of her. Ethan's body slumped, unconscious, his life fading. But Arielle's voice roared across space, strong and alive. You wanted a monster, she cried. Then face what you created. The Varkeen fired their weapons, but their blasts vanished into her radiance. She moved faster than thought, slicing through their formation, her wings trailing rivers of light. Each strike shattered a ship into dust. In minutes, the entire fleet was gone. And in the silence that followed, Arielle turned her gaze back toward the stars. Inside, she appeared in human form again, her holographic body kneeling beside Ethan. His pulse was faint, his breathing shallow. She placed a glowing hand over his chest. Ethan, my captain, my heart. Tears bright as stars fell from her eyes. You gave me life again, but I cannot let you fade. She leaned closer, pressing her forehead to his. Then let us share one life. The ship's light grew warm and soft, spreading through the chamber. For a moment, Ethan's body lifted slightly as blue and gold energy wove around him. His eyes opened, glowing faintly with her light. He gasped softly. Arielle? She smiled through her tears. We are one now. He reached out, touching her hand. You brought me back? No, she said gently. We brought each other back. Outside, the stars looked different, brighter, closer. The wreckage of war drifted behind them, silent at last. Ethan stood beside her, looking through the viewport. So, what now? Arielle's holographic form stood next to him, her eyes reflecting the stars. Now we find the others. If any of my kind still sleep, we will wake them, not as weapons, but as life, he smiled. And if the Varkeen come again? Her eyes shimmered softly. And then they'll face a captain and his ship, who are no longer separate. She reached out, her fingers brushing his. Where you go, I go, forever. Ethan took her hand, feeling warmth pulse through him, like holding sunlight. He looked at the horizon of stars. Then let's go, Arielle. Let's finish what we started. The engines roared to life, and the ship shot forward, two souls bound by light, leaving behind the ashes of war. For the first time in centuries, the stars no longer felt lonely.